this is one of the more organic designs that I have had experience with. It is the Moser Streamliner center seconds with the matrix green fume dial, and I feel that this watch is very impactful in the market. We are seeing a day where we are saturated with integrated stainless steel sport watch designs from a host of brands, micro brands, entry-level brands, mid-level brands, luxury brands, and high horology brands. We've seen this uptick over the past really 10 years, but the style has been around since the late 1960s. Zenith coming in with some various models of the Defy, and then the style really being kickstarted and sent into overdrive with the AP Royal Oak designed by Gerald Genta, which funnily enough designed the Nautilus and the Ingenue, all models within this type of subcategory. And this Streamliner takes the idea of a great case, an integrated bracelet, a lot of light play, beautiful dial, water resistance, and it does it in a way that no other brand has really done it before in the previous decades of this style from various brands. And I have to say that this one is very natural looking, very organic looking. And I don't know if this was released back in the 1970s or 80s, this would have a futuristic look to it, maybe a space age look. Then again, plays more on the organic. You look at this bracelet, I see a lobster tail, or I see armor like samurai warrior armor, or the curvature of a spine with different, sculpted elements. It really is a work of art that is unlike anything that I've seen before. Now, I might sound a little bit ridiculous here, but this bracelet is almost seductive. We have mostly brushed links, very sculpted links that carry a good flow to the design and a very pleasant way of reflecting light and drawing the eye of the wearer or the viewer to specifically the bracelet and its curvaceous drape. This really is an alluring and almost seductive bracelet that looks organic and, in my opinion, is the highlight of the particular model. Now, it's a highlight because it works so well with the case and with the dial. So what we have here is a mostly brushed bezel-less case that carries a center sunray finish on the top of the case that ties in nicely with your fume sunray green dial that dithers out from green to black near the crease of the dial around the circumference, but it also transitions from a sunray to a granular texture on that strikingly minimalistic dial. So there is a lot going on here in terms of the shape, the organic flow, and then the minimalistic execution. And then if we go into another level, you will notice some repetition of form with your applied markers rectangular shape with slightly rounded ends, and how those are in miniature form, your cantilevered floating loom applications on the hand stack. This is not something that I have noticed on another model from another brand, and I would say this is very forward thinking. I like the fact that the only text found on the dial is the brand name. And I know that this brand has made a habit of being minimalistic, and one could argue they could take off H. Moser and just have a beautiful sunray transitional dial, a fume dial, and that would be sufficient. But we have the logo, and there is not the way of thinking of needing to balance it out with text, water resistance, automatic, Swiss made, anything like that. It is all about the execution. It is all about the minimalistic design. To me, this is form and function coming together in a level that I would classify as art. Now let's flip this over and take a look at the in-house movement. We are not let down by the movement in this case. This is the HMC Caliber 200, a time-only movement with 72 hours of power reserve, a free-sprung balance, and very sharp finishing. Nice striping, nice purling, nice black polishing. We have a skeletonized rose gold rotor that also carries very defined brushwork, which again ties in well with your bezel-less brushed case, the sunray dial, and this brushed lobster tail bracelet. Now, lest you think that I am just trying to hype up a very hard to come by model, I don't subscribe to that at all. It's the crown. The crown at the 3 o'clock position is a screw down crown. The texture is nice. There is some repetition of form, with your grip and how that ties into the indexing on your transitional dial. Now, the thing about the crown is how many turns you have to make to unthread the crown so that you can hack the balance, set the time, wind the movement. We have a lot of threading here, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just unexpected. I was expecting just a few turns and then have that crown pop out. But with this, I find myself, moving the crown a couple extra times. So silly as that may sound, that is the nitpick I have of this watch. Everything else from the design to the finish to how it sits, how it wears, the accuracy, the lume, the detail work, it is all top notch. I think Moser is making a name for themselves. This watch definitely stands on its own merits and it speaks for itself. But how would it compare to, say, a Vacheron Constantin Overseas? That model I have owned, the blue dial variation. I've handled a Patek Philippe Nautilus. I've handled an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. And I would say this Streamliner from Moser is on the same plane in terms of how it wears, how it fits, the depth, the accuracy, the finishing. It is very, very comparable. Maybe a little bit a step behind, at least my experience with the Vacheron Constantin. I notice when I take out a loop or a macro lens, the brilliantness of the anglage work or the depth of some of the finishing, it's just noticeably a little tighter on the Vacheron Constantin than it is on the Streamliner, but that difference is very minute. I would put them on the same plane, save for one thing, which could be a big deal to you, and that is brand prestige and history and recognition. I am not saying that we need to put this Streamliner in the same category as, say, a Nautilus or a Royal Oak or an Overseas. I'm not trying to expand the Holy Trinity to a holy quartet, but I would say that, some watch enthusiasts, they really think about the name cachet. They really think about the history. And those Holy Trinity brands have history going back decades and decades, and in some cases, well over 200 years. But I recognize some of that ownership isn't continuous. Brands have changed hands over the years, but the name has been a luxury symbol for a long, long time. In the case of some of these brands, and again, that is important to some people that want to spend tens of thousands of dollars on one timepiece. So, just take that for whatever you will. I do know watch collectors, that doesn't matter. They're all about the design. They're all about the execution. And in some cases, they're drawn to the more underrated brands that are maybe a little bit more available and under the radar and feel more like a secret, a horological secret. But for many, you want the name cachet, and that will keep some collectors away from Moser and keep them looking for Vacheron Constantin and looking for Audemars Piguet and Patek Philippe. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but I would like to have this conversation in 10 years and in 50 years and in 100 years. I think Moser is on a trend. It's on a trajectory that's going to take them to very nice heights. And in maybe 100 years from now, maybe we're having a different conversation. Maybe Moser is in the same category as Patek Philippe and Audemars Piguet and Vacheron Constantin, and we're talking about a holy quartet and not holy trinity. We will see where this brand goes, but if they continue to release designs like the Streamliner that are very strong, very organic, and very well executed, I wouldn't be surprised. So thank you for watching today. I really appreciate it. Please reach out with any questions you may have. Maybe I conveyed a point here in an unclear fashion and you would like me to elaborate, or you would like to have a discussion with me. Let me know. Place those in the comment section. Thank you to my friend Stan for allowing me to wear his Streamliner and film it and experience it. This has been such a cool experience and I really appreciate it. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Secret scene here at the end of the video. Let's do a giveaway for a Danish micro brand that I have in this wood presentation box. This is called the About Vintage 1926 Diver. It will retail for about $400 on the Jubilee bracelet and will be among the best sellers for this Danish micro brand About Vintage. Now, this particular 1926 diver comes in at 39.5 millimeters in case diameter, an overall height of 12 millimeters to the top of the domed sapphire crystal that carries inner anti-reflective coating. This version is the blue sunray dial. You will notice there is a sandwich construction for the marker at the 12 and the 6 o'clock position. Nice bright contrast, 200 meters of water resistance, and this one will come with an additional strap that you can pair with this versatile, pleasantly sized diver design. So what I'm going to do is do a spin here on wheelofnames.com. If you were a Patreon member anytime during the month of October, I've taken your name and placed it within this wheel. And so let's go ahead and do the spin and see who takes home this Danish micro brand, the About Vintage 1926 diver. Al Hacker, congratulations on your spin win here. I'll get in touch with you and get your shipping information and get your new diver sent out for you to enjoy or give away or trade or sell or do with as you see fit. Thank you for being a Patreon member. I really appreciate the support from all of you that help me create content. It really means a lot to me. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.